Welcome back, everyone, to part 2 of our epic coverage of Lockout. If you checked us out last time, we appreciate you coming back for the second episode. We did not realize, as I elaborated at the end of the previous episode, that our runtime for this review was going to end up being much longer than the movie itself. So we wanted to break this up to make it into more digestible chunks again. So now tune in for the rest of our coverage. Very, very quick aside. Have you heard of the most... I forget the name of the movie. It was one that just came out last year. Have you heard of the Anthony Hopkins movie about dementia?
No.
I heard about this on a podcast recently, and I really want to watch this. Okay, just check this out. So Anthony Hopkins is dealing with dementia, and it's about like his relationship with his daughter as his daughter is trying to take care of him. And to simulate the effects of dementia, they have different actresses play the daughter.
Dude,
is that not like the coolest movie choice you've ever heard? Like when I heard that, I was like, oh, I have to watch that movie because that sounds amazing.
So I love they want full Dr.
Like
Dr. Parnassus with
that is fucking great. And
my god.
Because like people are talking about it being potentially like an Oscar performance for Anthony Hopkins because he's like just so incredible in it as the guy dealing with dementia and just trying to like reconnect with his daughter as she's trying to help him, you know, in like a nursing situation. It just sounds so good.
Anthony Hopkins is another interesting case because like Guy Pearce, he'll do just about anything. Him, Peter Stormare, Guy Pearce, they'll do just about anything and always be fucking great at it. Did you ever imagine a world where we would get a Thor movie where Anthony Hopkins was Odin? Did you
He's
ever?
Fucking awesome.
Did you ever imagine? When I heard Anthony Hopkins was in a goddamn Marvel Comics movie, I was like, I'm sorry, say that one more time.
About Thor.
About Thor.
Yeah. And Thor, in retrospect, has like the best cast of any Marvel movie almost. Outside, like obviously the Avengers are cheating because it's the the mashup,
right.
But of just the solo movies, when you just break down the full supporting cast. Thor's cast in the first movie is amazing.
And when he's playing a meme of himself when Loki is masquerading as Odin, like, my God. Like, the guy will do anything and be great at it and somehow make it classy, even when it's not classy.
I would actually like to talk about Thor in the podcast at some point because I think the first Thor movie gets a bad rap by a lot of people. I actually really like the first Thor movie.
Yeah, I think the first Thor movie and the second Thor movie get bad raps personally, but...
I like the second one. I get people having more issues with it than the first, just because the second one does a little bit bad shit at some points. But like, I think the first one's genuinely good, and people like shit talk it all the time. And just like, what are you talking about? Like, I think the first one is really good. But yeah,
it's a great movie. Anyways,
yeah.
Again, not a lot happens in this part of the movie, so
yeah, that's why we just had like tangent on top of tangent. That's just like somewhat related, like
loosely. I mean, we got to Anthony Hopkins, and he's nowhere near the movie.
6 degrees of Anthony Hopkins.
Yep. So So we just got past Mace, and at some point, somehow, we'd run into Alex, who's been leading a hunting party to try to find Snow and Emily, and unfortunately does. And I love the way it's framed because it looks like she's like, I don't remember, like shocked or like pissed or whatever. It's something he says, but it's not that. She sees Alex come up behind Snow and never gets the chance to say anything before Alex puts the gun to his head and tells him not to move. And he's always like, oh, I hate that.
I wish, because I like the reveal too, I wish it had just been Alex because it's so corny that all of him and his cronies are just perfectly in a line for no reason. And like, if it had just been Alex, I think it would have been a lot cooler, but it is a cool shot, the way they side pan to like reveal them behind them.
Yes.
It's just like, were you doing the Macarena down the hallway? Why are you in a fucking line of fucking convicts?
Like conga line of convicts?
What are you doing?
But yeah, it's super important though, this scene, because this scene does reveal that in fact her worst fear is true. They are experimenting on all of these people secretly, because there's a whole bunch of people on a lab laid out with their heads like cut open and shit.
I do think this movie, they should have just said fuck it and made it R. This movie needed to be an R. When you have a scene in your movie where a dude has explosives chained to his face and you explode said bracelet of explosives, maybe we should make it R and actually be able to show it, because they walk past a dude who would be just like, Hamburger Helper at that point, right?
Yes.
And there's not a speck of blood anywhere. I'm just like, bro, just make it R. Like,
Yeah.
it's a Guy Pearce sci-fi movie. As much as I love that, it was never gonna be a summer blockbuster hit.
Oh, we didn't
just
talk
make it
about
R.
we didn't talk about
make it R.
the gravity well floating fight.
Oh yeah, we should talk about that real quick because that's
That
cool.
happened really early on, right after he got inside the space station.
Yeah, that's when he's like on the way to like break her out of the sealed room, right? I think.
Yes, he just got on board. He's looking for her, and there's some sort of engine below him that is creating the gravity that is inside the space station, but there's no gravity inside this room or something, or it's not really an air current. It doesn't seem like their clothes aren't blowing, but
It's movie magic.
It's
and
movie
kind
magic.
of poorly explained and kind of dumb, but you kind of buy it just because of the movie, like the type of movie it's in.
he's just like, I'm sorry, I left my cape at home. And they're like, no, you will glide right across. It'll be fine. So he's getting ready.
Very Dead Space. Now that I think about it, this
it's
sequence is very Dead Space.
Oh God, give me a Dead Space movie with Guy Pearce as Isaac.
Oh, dude, that is money. That is actually really good casting. We need to make that
Guy
happen.
Pearce as Isaac. I want it now.
That is fucking awesome casting, dude. That is a good call. He'd be perfect for that because you buy him as like an everyman, and he's a smartass. It's perfect. It's absolutely perfect casting.
So
Fuck, that's good.
as he's getting ready to talk himself into actually making this leap of faith, a convict comes up behind him and tackles him into the room, and they have this like 0G fight.
Which, but real quick,
Dude,
is the convict just straight up suicidal? Because the convict doesn't know what's around the corner.
right.
The convict just yeets him into the fucking giant but the giant fucking murder shaft of Dead Space equipment. Like,
Murder Shaft. That was my porn name. I mainly did snuff films. My Murder Shaft.
very, very dark time in Ron's life. We don't like to talk about.
I was in a dark place. I painted all my walls black. So that moment, Jeff, when there's like the hot pipe on the wall that he pushes the convict's face into, and then pushes off
it's like a liquid nitrogen almost type of thing where he's
it burns in one way or another. It's either super cold or super hot. I don't know which one it is, but it sizzles. And when he pushes himself off of him, the convict's body is floating, but he's attached to the wall by his face.
Oh, it's brutal, dude. And then he has to like peel his face off of the fucking liquid nitrogen wall, dude. It's brutal.
Oh my God.
And like, dude, if the movie was rated R, that effect could have been
Two-Face.
amazing.
He would have been
he would have been like Two-Face. He would have had to like rip part of his face off. It would have looked really fucking cool. But because they're pussies and they want to make PG-13 money,
based on that CGI earlier in the movie, it would not have.
If they weren't pussies and weren't trying to make fucking PG-13 money, because PG-13 movies, historically, it's been proven different after Logan and Deadpool and shit like that now, but back in this time period, they were really afraid to make anything R outside of like horror movies because they wanted to make money at the box office.
Right.
So like it hurts this movie so bad making it PG-13. Like you have people who literally get set on fire later on and it turns into like a fucking Scooby-Doo cartoon effect where they're smoking but there's no burn. And I'm just like, bro.
Yeah.
Why is this movie not rated R? But go back to what you were saying.
He's got like a rope or like something on his harness that he hooks, like some sort of strap that he hooks to the other side. Right
on a carabiner
as
like line.
Yeah, right as fucking Gilgun turns off the gravity machine, and the prisoner like grabs a hold of Guy Pearce, which he, just like yoinks to the side where he's got himself hooked, and the guy falls forever seemingly, and then is gone. Yeah. And then,
he's still floating in space. He's still falling even after the movie's over.
Right. And then as his rope snaps, because he's trying to climb up and it's rubbing back and forth, and it's not a very thick line. As he falls, they turn it back on, and then he starts floating, and he has to do a front flip to get any kind of forward momentum, and just front flips his way all the way back up to the top.
Mm-hmm. Pretty cool sequence.
It was a pretty cool sequence.
I dig it.
That fucking sizzle sound, dude. You want to talk about a sizzle reel? Jesus Christ.
Dun, 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 dun.
Right. So, anyways, back to where I forgot I'd made a mental note to talk about that part because I like that fight, that 0G fight.
Yeah, it's pretty neat.
But yeah, so let's see. At this point, this is where we have found out that one of the security measures on this prison in the event of a takeover is it doesn't automatically guide itself. Its orbit has to be constantly adjusted and corrected by an engineer, and
which they killed.
So now it is falling out of the sky. Its orbit. We first noticed its orbit was decaying when it crashed into the International Space Station.
And by the way, a moment of good script writing is when they make a point of saying it wasn't the ISS that had crashed into them, it was MS-1 crashing the ISS.
Yeah, he's like, you're telling me the space station crashed into it? And he's like, no, sir, I'm saying the opposite.
So the script writing is really good in that part. The directing is terrible because it's not what it looks like when it's happening.
Yes.
When it was happening, it looks like the fucking the ISS just fucking veering on a fucking suicide rush towards it. I'm like, bro, what the fuck was that? And then they explained that. I was like, oh, okay. Like, I think it's a good thing that these directors didn't go on to direct more stuff. Because I think a lot of the shortfalls of the movie come from like very bad directing choices like that.
Yeah,
or
I can
like,
see that. I get what they were going for. That, you know, we're looking out of the window and seeing that we are careening towards the space station, but that's not really the way it's shown.
You have to have better control of the movie's flow as far as like what gets shown and what doesn't, because it should have been the director's decision to not include the fucking horrible chase sequence that looked like a video game and to like have a better representation of the fact that it's not the ISS crashing into them. Because like there's just a lot of very amateur hour choices that are made, you know?
Yeah. So is this the point, Geoff, where we finally reach the escape pod?
Yes. Yeah.
So
they figure they reach the escape pod and they realize there's only room for one person instead of two, like they had originally thought.
Yes, he was sent on a suicide mission. What dawns on him?
Because they're assholes.
Because they are assholes, and he's expendable. So this, how hard, Geoff, did you roll your eyes at this?
It's pretty dumb.
It's pretty dumb, right? Especially with what happens in less than 5 minutes from this point.
Yeah.
It's pretty dumb. I could have done completely without this. He puts her in the escape pod. He promises that she's like, you said it was gonna be 2 seats. He's like, no. I said there was 2 pods. You go ahead, take this one. I'll be right behind you. And promises that she's like, promise you're gonna get in the other pod, because she's kind of got the idea that there's no way for him to escape. And he's like, yeah, no, I'll meet you at the bottom. It'll be great. I'll buy you an ice cream. And like again, treating her like a 5-year-old girl. Which I love. It'll be great. I'll buy you an ice cream. And she seemingly gets in the pod. He, I was going to say, as he's lighting up a cigarette, it reminded me of one of the other lines I had a mental note to talk about. You can't smoke in here. And he's standing next to a giant tank that says no smoking. And then he's like, sure I can.
Yeah.
Anyways, he's trying to light up a cigarette, and then it is revealed that she did not, in fact, take the pod, but she let it launch anyway.
What a twist.
Because, otherwise, the Empire
we
would have
lose the
detected
escape
life
pod
signs.
For 15 seconds of dramatic irony, question mark? What?
I would have preferred that because the space station collided with them, they could no longer reach the escape pod.
See, that is better writing.
And I literally just came up with it.
This movie has so many easily correctable problems that it seemed like no one, for whatever reason, cared to even think about. Because there's so many easy Monday morning quarterback band-aids that could have been implemented even in the editing room. You could have had, or like a reshoot, you could have had it be explained in the background, like, oh, the escape pods are no longer launchable, or something, like, because of the crash, like you said. You have so many anti-plot hole fillers, with like the ISS scene.
It's such a fucking trope. And no one does this anymore for a reason, because it just doesn't work.
Yeah, That's a good call. Like, this movie has a lot of tropes that have gone the way of the dinosaur in Hollywood because, screenwriters have gotten wise to it, and this movie just...
Because, again, like you mentioned, amateur hour, we get this scene.
Yeah. It feels so much like a script that was written in, 1985 that they found in a fucking time capsule.
And this scene happens right after Mace's death, which is one of the most gut-wrenching scenes.
It's super well done. This movie is so two-faced. It's so... It has no consistent idea. Like you said, it almost feels like...
Two different teams.
And I really think, and I know it's disrespectful because I know obviously some of the good stuff had to have happened from the original writers, but it just comes across so much to me that the good stuff was Luc Besson script doctoring.
Yes.
And the bad stuff was unfortunately the writer directors, It feels like he did the best he could to band-aid this movie into being good, and he kind of did. They end up making a really watchable and for a lot of instances entertaining stuff. It's
a fun, entertaining movie. It's just not a great movie.
Yeah. It misses the mark on so many easy layup changes that could have been made that it turned it very frustrating to me at times, which made it harder for me to enjoy the parts that I like. Mm-hmm. But because of people like Guy Pearce and, Stormare that make some of the stuff that shouldn't work, they could have made a lot better of a film, unfortunately.
So Guy Pearce's reaction is immediately just, what the hell are you still doing here for? Which I love. And then, because now he's been sent on a suicide mission for literally no reason, because she didn't take the escape pod.
Because she wants to save the 7 hostages that are still left.
Yep. And then that's when they run into Alex, because I realized I got my stuff out of order, because this happened right after Mace.
It's cool. We have Memento. We have space dementia. We have Memento out of order, short-term memory loss.
Memento dementia.
We're just freeballing it. Yeah.
So,
space dementia opening act for Murder Shaft. Go see him at the BOK once the pandemic ends.
So she had told, because Gilgun was shooting hostages where they were located, and then he killed all the hostages anyway, and which he informs Maggie Grace, she was going to do it anyway, because before she does it, he goes, don't, and then she does. But I love that he shoots a hostage and then goes, oh, the plan. I didn't tell you the plan. I need to tell you the plan. I'm going to kill a hostage every 3 seconds you're not here, and then shoots another hostage. I love he kills that one unfortunate son of a bitch, and then goes, oh, wait, I didn't even tell you what I'm doing.
He's in full-blown fucking Scottish Joker mode right now.
Yes.
Just even more so than he is earlier on in the movie. He just goes fucking off the wall insane, dude.
And then they run into Alex. Guy Pearce gets shot with a shotgun blast right to the vest, knocks him down an elevator shaft. He's presumed dead, and he's knocked unconscious. And she is taken to the control center where Gilgun is waiting for her, but Alex won't let him have her because she's the president's daughter, and since he's killed all the other hostages, she is the only thing keeping them from being blasted out of orbit before they crash into New York, basically.
They say the Eastern Seaboard or something like that.
Maybe New York.
Yeah. Because Hollywood movie, yeah.
Well, I think they have to pay money, don't they? Isn't that the way it works with New York? Anything relating to New York, they have to pay money for?
Imagery of it, I know they copyrighted the I Love New York logo, but I don't know about, saying it in a movie. I don't know.
I want to say that
I don't think they put that much thought into it, to be honest. I think that it just kind of happened.
But yeah, they're gonna crash into essentially New York, and their only chance of escaping any of this is her. And this is, what did you think about the turn this takes, Jeff? Because I thought this was appropriate.
Yeah, it seems appropriate for them. It sucks that because I like Alex a lot, and it sucks to not get a little bit more Alex towards the very end. But I get why it makes sense for the movies, pacing and everything.
I love after Gilgun stabs Alex, especially to you made me look stupid, because she was promised, and then he said no anyway. And he said, you made me look stupid, and he shivs Alex. And Alex looks down, sees that he's shivved kind of between the rib cage and the belly, and he just goes, who's going to take care of you now? And then he kind of falls over dead.
Great last line. Like,
oh my god,
very good stuff. Like, adds a lot of like pathos to their relationship.
Yes,
which is kind of interesting since they're murderous, rapist psychopaths. You know,
they
like
kind of allude. Like, did you get? I don't remember the specifics of their conversation, but I watched this, and then like 2 weeks later, I told you I wanted to cover it for the podcast, and then when I watched it again the other night. Again, I got the feeling they're kind of alluding to like either the both of them or Gilgun's character killed their parents.
I could see that. I could definitely see that.
There's something about their conversation, the way they talk, it's like in hushed tones, essentially, that like he killed their parents.
Which, in my opinion, is purely their performance and not the script.
He says something about their mother at some point in the movie.
I think those impressions you're getting, though, are purely based off of their really good performances because they specifically go out of their way to make them more mysterious. They don't try to elaborate much on them.
Yeah, there's something that signals that to me, and I could just be making it up.
No, I didn't get that impression watching it, but now that you mention it, like I totally get that. That could totally be a thing.
Yeah, I can't tell if it's both of them or maybe just Gilgun and probably just Gilgun. And then Alex is like, well, who's going to take care of you now? And then falls over dead.
Yeah.
And not from a stomach wound, so this does not trigger Geoff.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. You want to talk? I was worried about it at first because of the way that they first framed it. But then when he fell back and he kind of got, what is it, like the solar plexus? Is that where he kind of gets stabbed?
Somewhere in there, yeah. Like right underneath the breastbone.
That's a kill shot. That's gotta suck.
And if that was an upward angle at all, like
yeah. That's like he's fucked.
Yeah, that's blood and water territory.
Yeah.
Anyways, so now Gilgun is running the show because who's gonna be fucking crazy enough to go up against him? And we're just at this point, Snow is trying to hightail it to Emily, which Gilgun is trying to rape, and she's, for some reason, Geoff, she's just not going for it. I don't know.
Yeah.
Women, am I right? So
she grabs her like perfume little bottle and then his light and Guy Pearce's lighter and like fucking blowtorches his face.
Yes.
And this is again, he has smoke coming off of his face and no visible burns because it's a fucking PG-13 movie for no reason.
His face was red. His face was a little red.
He was mildly irritated by the fucking flamethrower that just got unleashed in his face.
Well, he's used to being burned, remember? Because the mark under his eye? He's used to being burned. Because
he's fine.
There's a passing reference Guy Pearce makes to the mark on his face being what prisoners do to rats. So everybody knows that they're a rat.
Yep. Anyways,
this pisses him off for some reason, and he decides to shiv her, and they both look surprised that she's not stabbed. And they both look over, and Guy Pearce is standing there, and he's grabbed the knife with his bare hand, or the shiv, whatever it is, with his bare hand, and then he just fucking headbutts Gilgun and knocks him unconscious.
No, he just punches him.
He punches him.
He just
he headbutts
cold
else,
cocks him basically.
But yeah, and grabs her and runs.
It reminded me of the punch in the oh god, what was the name of the movie? What's where the ritual, the fucking old lady punch, like one of the greatest moments in cinema history.
That might be my October pick.
I would love to talk about that movie.
Oh my god, it's so good.
I dig that movie a lot.
I watched that movie on a whim and then was like, Geoff,
you have to watch it, Geoff.
That's another one that I put on in the background and ended up turning off what I was doing and focusing on the movie.
Yeah.
But anyways, they run and they go to one of my favorite sequences in this movie because I've recently fallen into a book series that has something similar to this that they have used several times in that book series, which is low Earth or low planet fucking skydiving.
Oh yeah.
They put on the suits. And they're like an emergency escape suit because they're specifically designed for this. Because when they pull a ripcord after they enter the atmosphere, it blows off of them in a particular way. It blows away from them, so they don't collide with it.
Like it dissipates into 1,000 different pieces instantly.
Yeah, it just kind of blows apart. And like I said, they don't just it doesn't just come off of them. It blows directly away from them and then they fall away from it. It's pretty great.
And the reason they are doing this evac jump off of the ship is because they now realize that they've been informed that they're about to nuke the space station. We really need to explain the reason that they're okay with killing the president's daughter is because Peter Stormare is able to enact. He is able to enact this little
the thing that every American is aware of now, the 25th Amendment.
Yeah, he's basically put this into effect that the president is endangering like all of New York and the eastern seaboard just to not have his daughter be killed. So Peter Stormare has taken control of the situation and is nuking the space station, and they have like 30 seconds left as they're getting into the suits.
Yep. And this is... Jeff, why can't we fire a missile at it and blow it apart?
Thank you. Okay, Ron.
Why did we have to have a Star Wars reference of flying into the Death Star?
I'm gonna tell you word for word what I wrote down in my notes. Okay, are you ready? Death Star trench run ? With question mark written out.
Yeah.
Why do they have a Death Star trench run with like 50 fucking ships and not? We're in the year 2079? Is that what it is? Fire a fucking missile at the space station.
Fire a surface-to-orbit missile. Surface-to-orbit missile.
What garbage is this? Like 50 pilots die that never had to go anywhere near this fucking space station. But they have to question mark, do a fucking trench run and drop a nuke onto like one specific little section. It's the stupidest thing in the entire movie.
They don't even shoot anything. They fly by and drop a magnetic bomb to the side of the hull.
It's so dumb.
It is the dumbest.
So, like, were you even facepalming in the theater when you first watched it? Because I watching it. I was like, no, this is not what's happening, right? It's surely they're just. Oh no, what are you doing, movie?
I don't really remember, but I have to imagine that I was sitting there just staring at the screen like, hold on.
It's so unbelievably dumb.
Jeff,
it would be dumb even for...
If I am the one questioning your movie decisions, there is something horribly wrong. Because there's a lot that I let slide.
Yeah. Like if even you were like having like face-palming reactions to it, I was about to claw my fucking eyes out watching this out. Because I was like, this would have been dumb if this movie had been written in 1985. Why is this in a modern movie? It's so unbelievably amateur hour and stupid that I was taken aback by how dumb it is.
It is so dumb.
And it's so unnecessary. All they had to do was say that the missiles were 30 seconds out.
Yes.
That's all you have to do.
That's all you have to do.
It doesn't fucking, like... It is I swear to God, dude, it's the directors. Because, like, I feel like the unnecessary, like, horrible CGI action chase that happened earlier with the motorcycle for no reason, and this is purely the directors thinking it's going to be, like, fucking awesome.
Yeah.
It has to be that. It has to be that.
It's like the directors are two 14-year-old boys high-fiving each other in the writing room.
Yeah, it's like they're fucking Michael Bay's id writing a fucking sci-fi movie. And I'm like, what? Like this, I don't even know what to say. It's so unbelievably stupid. In an otherwise like pretty good third act.
Yeah.
It's
pretty good second, third act.
Yeah,
but
I was like face palming, and it didn't ruin the movie for me. But I was like, holy fuck, guys! There's a reason why y'all never made a movie again after this, and this is a big reason why.
Luc Besson is why this made it to theaters.
Oh yeah, 1,000%, 1,000%.
But they go through orbit. She collides with some space junk, knocks her unconscious, so he has to float over to her. Which, which one is more unrealistic? Him having to save her as they're falling towards the Earth rapidly, or them not running into anything as the space thing is exploding?
I had shut my brain off at this point because of because of missiles not existing in the year 2079. I had already shut off my brain. I was already just okay. I'm checked out.
Superman's already unarmed all of them. He's already disarmed all of the missiles. Remember?
This is accurate.
I've seen that movie.
You're right.
So
me too.
He has to. Like he pops his, he realizes she's not doing anything, so he moves over to her, pops hers, and then their suits blow off, fly away, and then they pull their parachutes, land in the middle of the one highway in the background that doesn't have a single car on it, while all the other highways in the background are just bumper-to-bumper traffic speeding along. And the police are already there somehow.
How funny would it have been as an alternate ending if they just get run smacked over by a semi truck on the highway after all of that?
As they're like having their moment.
Because they are not concerned about being on the middle of a fucking highway road. Like, guys, roll over.
Yeah.
To the side of the highway at least.
The briefcase was more dangerous, apparently. So
it's like, you know what would have happened if that would have been Mace? If it would have been Mace landing, he would have landed on a busy highway, got to run the fuck over. But they have plot armor, so they're fine.
You know what we didn't talk about?
What?
The government at the beginning of this movie in that highway chase. How many civilian casualties chasing this one man there had to have been, right?
They kill more people than fucking Batfleck and Batman v Superman, dude. It's brutal.
So he immediately gets arrested and taken.
Yeah, because like you said, the cops just fucking instant transmission onto the highway. What?
There it is. There's your Dragon Ball Z reference for the episode.
There you go. Dragon Ball Z, Dark Souls, and we're good. There you go.
Everyone take a shot. So
take a shot.
So I kind of like this sequence, even though at this point I've already forgotten that there's a subplot about a briefcase and secrets being stolen. But I kind of like how this ends.
Yeah, it's a little. Weird.
I guess if you started it, you got to finish it, even though they didn't really finish much else in the movie. But how did you think anything of him opening the briefcase until Guy Pearce points it out?
About him knowing the combination?
Yeah, him just casually reaching over and opening the briefcase. And then he's like, it's empty. I don't understand. He's like, what I don't understand is how'd you know the combination?
Yeah, it's pretty good.
And then this is...
I was unfortunately a frothing mess on the ground, just having a fucking seizure by how stupid the fucking Death Star trench run was. So I didn't get
Peter
to appreciate
Griffin after watching the Ring video.
Yeah, I was like, I'm just seizing out on the fucking ground, dude.
But yeah, this is after Maggie Grace has done her investigation, leaving the hospital, and she's gotten the case. She found the lockers that Mace had left it in. They're green lockers with Lullaby spray painted across them, and the password was I see you, I foresee you. And the locker opened, and she had the briefcase. And then it cuts to, and she did the detective work somehow in the hotel room with the mirror. And that's when it cuts.
Because Maggie Grace is Sherlock Holmes, apparently.
Yes, apparently. And the game is afoot, Marion.
Yeah.
So
yeah, the thing with the mirror is kind of cool, but the way that they reveal it is kind of dumb too. So it's like even that kind of cool twist is like.
I do like the camera pull out because again, I like the way this whole sequence is edited.
Yeah,
and I like the pull out, how it shows what's really happening, and then as it pulls out, you see where it looks like he shoots him, and then the camera whips around to Peter Stormare lowering the binoculars.
Yeah, the editing is super cool.
The editing in this sequence is great. I love this editing.
It's just like the actors elevating some of the dialogue. This twist is elevated by the editing, I think.
Yes.
In the directing. Like the directing and the editing actually saved the scene because I appreciated it, and at the same time I was also taken aback by how kind of dumb it is that just Maggie Grace, who is like just happening to walk onto here and just solve this fucking case that like the CIA and the FBI couldn't fucking figure out at all. And it's just like, okay.
And
the Secret Service, like, what the fuck?
Yeah.
But yeah.
So, that the writing not strong, but again, I love the sequence.
Yeah, it is a very cool sequence. The sequence with her going through and cutting back to Mace saying the words as she's tracking through the subway is cool too.
And it's not even just cutting back and forth like it is. Like, sometimes it's cutting back and forth. Sometimes he's like superimposed over her walking through the subway and stuff. It's hard to explain. It's a thing you just got to see. But it's
before I forget. Did you have any problems with the sound mix when you were watching it to both on like Netflix and back in the theater? Because I actually found a lot of instances where I had to rewind and put on subtitles because when they would have like the score, which is super fucking cheesy, by the way, the score is not helping this movie.
I don't remember the score.
The score, they have some sequences where it's like a fucking Steven Seagal action movie where they time the score with like punches from Alex and shit like that. And it was like, that's not necessary, guys. Go back and watch it. Like, pay attention to that next time you watch it, and it'll make you like roll your eyes. It's pretty dumb. But specifically when they're on the space station, anytime they're having conversations, there's like a sound mixing problem where like special effects are way too loud and the score is way too loud. So like I had 3 or 4 scenes where I actually would have to rewind the movie on Netflix, throw on subtitles just to hear what like Lenny James and like certain background characters were saying, which I found kind of bizarre.
I never had that problem.
Maybe it's just me and like my specific like what frequencies I can hear as just like a person, but like I had that problem several times.
Because I watched it a couple of weeks ago on my upstairs TV while Christina was like playing Sims or something, and then last night I watched it downstairs where I have a sound bar, and so it was TV speakers. The first time last night was a sound bar. I never had that problem.
Maybe it's just like because like when I was watching it, I thought my TV was fucking up. I actually stopped the movie and then replayed a little bit of the last episode of Peaky Blinders I've been watching just to make sure my TV wasn't fucked up. And it wasn't my TV. It's just the mixing for the way I was hearing the sound effects versus the dialogue. It was just very, very specifically weird to me personally.
Interesting. I wonder if that's like a Dolby or like a digital like decoding, like a DTS decoding thing.
Yeah.
Maybe it's the way your TV's getting it, or the fact that my TV speakers upstairs didn't have that problem either. I don't know, man.
Were you? Yeah, it could be a number of things. You know, you never know, and it also could just be because like Amazon Prime is also really bad about porting over older movies and having sound mix problems. Like I have a lot of issues when I would rent an older movie from like the 80s or 90s on Amazon Prime Video.
Yeah,
and the mixing, you have to like crank up to like fucking 50 on your TV just to be able to hear the voices, because like the music is 5,000 decibels and the voices are like 5, and I'm like, what the fuck is this, guys?
Yeah, I don't know. I have like at least on my soundbar, I have like the voice boost and like the clarity thing, everything, all the filters turned on, because my soundbar was good at the time, but it's really dated now. So I have it set up on like the TV program setting with like the fucking clarity boost and everything to hear voices, and I didn't have that issue.
I don't have a sound bar. I do have a pretty good TV.
You know what? Both my TVs do have a setting where I have them automatically lower loud changes in volume.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I don't have that.
I wonder if I'm flattening it and you're not.
Yeah, because I don't have any vocal boosts in effect on my TV at all. So just from like a standard, just listening to the mix the way it is on Netflix, the mix is terrible in this movie.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not going to argue. I'm going to believe you because there's a lot with this movie.
But and it could not be. It could just be Netflix, because like I was saying, like with Amazon Prime having bad mixes on other movies, it could just be the Netflix.
But this movie being 2012, though, I don't know.
Yeah, it was a very bizarre issue that I haven't run into very often.
Yeah, but yeah, so it is revealed that the traitor is actually Morgan from The Walking Dead.
Dun dun dun. Which I didn't see this coming at all. So this is actually kind of a cool twist.
Did you know what Guy Pearce was going to do when he lit the lighter and just sat there while Lenny James was talking?
I had a feeling, just because of how many times they kept zooming in on the lighter, that it was going to come into play later in some way, but I didn't expect him to just fucking yeet it into his face while it was like torching him, dude.
After he opens the briefcase and he points out that he just knew the combination, didn't have to be told, he lights the lighter and he just sits there with it in his hand with it lit while they're having the entire conversation. And then when the conversation's over, he closes the Zippo and then clicks it back open, grabs his face and jams it underneath his eye like Gilgun is, like that same burn. And then Peter Stormare like hauls him off and tells Snow good work, and then he's like released from prison, where Maggie Grace is, for whatever reason, just waiting for him outside. She could have at least brought a car. I don't know what's going on here, but there's a lot of what I call, it's just another trope.
Third act like trope magic.
Yeah,
there's a lot of shit that just like Maggie Grace being Sherlock Holmes and figuring out that he was set up.
This prison is apparently Alcatraz, because that last shot makes it look like they're out in the middle of the fucking ocean away from the shoreline. Like, I don't know.
Yeah. It's very just third act magic. Shit just happens because it has to, because the script needs it to happen, and they just happen to be, you know, like, even though they've been fucking at each other's throats the whole time, they did go through like a traumatic event together.
So they're immediately bonded.
I like that they didn't have them kiss and they make a joke about them, you know, because she fucking decks him instead of kissing him, which I liked.
Yeah, he punched her earlier in the movie to give her a black eye to go along with the hair. And then she punches him.
Look tough.
And she's like, you deserved it. You have to admit that you deserve that. And he's like, I thought you were going to kiss me for a second.
Yeah, that's good expectation subversion. Yeah. Which, and the movie is just so all over the place as far as like making good writing choices and then not making good writing choices, where this was like whiplash for me. Like, yeah. Because I can't help, because every time I watch a movie, I can't help but like break it down just from like a writing perspective, just because like I'm very fascinated by the way movies are constructed, because they're a lot more formulaic than you think if you're not really into it. Like see Robert Cargill, the writer for Doctor Strange, or has the writing podcast I listen to a lot, and like screenplays are so formulaic, they actually have breakdowns on when a certain event in a movie is supposed to happen based on the page number in the script. It's really cool. Like you typically have your first act turning point on page 10. You typically have your second act turning point at page 45. So if they're that formulaic, especially with horror movies. The reason that you see fake jump scares is because executive producers in Hollywood actually require a specific like amount of pages that can go by and like minutes on screen before a scare has to happen to keep horror movie audiences happy. Like it's a science, dude. It's crazy how much of like a formula it's on. So I can't help but watch a movie and break it down in real time now, just because I just can't turn off my brain because I find it interesting. So like this movie was just pure whiplash for me. I would see stuff that are like really good writing decisions and like really good stuff that I really like, and then they'd make some stupid ass decision that easily could have been fixed when, you know, like the script was being worked on or in the editing room, and it's just like, fuck, dude. It was all over the place for me.
Yeah, from my perspective, this is one of those movies that I admit it's not great, but I fucking love it because the parts of the movie that I like, to me, outweigh the bad in the movie. And I am a fan of great movies. I'm a fan of movies that have problems, but I still had fun. And I love movies that are so bad they're good. And
which I am not. So I like Ron likes movies like Sharknado, and I would rather fucking like Harlan Thrombey myself than watch fucking Sharknado for 2 hours. Like I can't stand movies that are so bad unless I'm watching them on Mystery Science Theater where they're being made fun of, and then it's okay. I like that, but just watching Sharknado and just like giving away 2 hours of my life to watch a movie like Sharknado is like, no, never gonna happen. Like, so, but it's cool. Like, that's one of the beautiful things about movies is that people can have different values to what they like in a movie. You know, like Ron's, you know, like the way that he places values on what he likes in a movie is completely fair, and the way that I view it, like, is fair too. You know, it's just whatever, you know, you like.
There's
to
a movie
see in a movie
for everyone.
Yeah, and it's interesting too, because like part of the thing that's gonna make future movies that we cover like this one interesting, as far as like the way we break it down, is because you get to get like a look behind the curtain on what I'm looking for in a movie, what Ron is looking for in a movie, what you're more willing to forgive stuff than I am. You know, you like you said, you a lot of movies that are your favorite movies aren't. You know, they're more like Saturday afternoon, like TNT movies or sci-fi channel movies, you know, like just movies that aren't meant to be cinematically groundbreaking by any means.
My main metric is how much fun did I have watching the movie. That's my main metric.
Yeah. I critique movies more, but I also appreciate movies like Pacific Rim, or I do like movies that are fun if they have enough, you know, like Pacific Rim is a good example, because Pacific Rim is kind of dumb in certain instances, but it's so fucking fun. I don't care. I still love it. This movie I like, And I also dislike. I have a very love-hate relationship with this.
My feeling when I made this my pick was that you would have issues with it, but you were glad you saw it.
Yeah, at the very least, I'm glad we did this for an episode, because it's been really interesting just to break down like where they went wrong and where they went right. And this is kind of like part of the mission statement of we don't want to just completely destroy movies. We want to try and be constructive. And we've been giving specific examples, like my idea about making her Stormare's daughter instead of the president's daughter is like a fix to me, in my opinion. I'm like, don't just shit talk a thing. Bring up how it could have been made better. That's more constructive than just, destroying a movie.
The space station taking out the pod would have been better.
Yeah. Absolutely.
How did you feel about there actually being a memory card and it was inside the lighter?
That was pretty cool. I like that, and it gave more emphasis to the lighter, more importance to it, I guess.
I couldn't figure out if I liked the fact that there actually was data that was there, and it was just hidden in the lighter, not the briefcase, better, or the fact that the briefcase was empty because it was a sting operation anyway, and it was empty, and the guy that was trying to expose, Morgan, I just lost his name, and I've already closed IMDb. Lenny James? No.
Yeah, Lenny James.
And he's trying to bring him out, basically, or the fact that it was in the lighter, and it wasn't just a memento from his friend that he was accused of killing, but an actual real important thing. I don't know.
I think they pull the rug out from under you a little too much in the third act. Well, sorry, the second third act, where they start having just like third act magic after third act magic, just all these super convenient ways to end plot lines, which are a little bit too convenient for my taste. But at this point, we already had the Death Star trench run, so I'm just like, fuck it.
Yeah.
Do whatever you want, movie. I've been defeated. We already had the world's worst fucking security guard in the history of mankind.
I don't know. To me, I just kind of like the idea of he seemingly doesn't give a shit, but he just won't let go of his friend's lighter. I kind of like that idea. It makes his character a little deeper.
It adds more to his character because Guy Pearce, he is an asshole, but he's also very loyal to his friends. You can tell. When Mace dies, he is genuinely affected.
The memory card actually being inside the lighter does not diminish that. That is the entire reason. He does not know until the end of the movie that memory card is in there. So that is there. But to me, it just kind of like, oh, well, the lighter was important all of a sudden, and now that is all kind of cheapened a little bit for me.
Yeah, it didn't cheapen it for me, but I get that thinking. But I did like the fact that he is an asshole, but he's very loyal. Because like when Mace dies, he is visually affected. You can tell.
Yes,
he was genuinely friends with Mace, and he was heartbroken to see what happened to his friend. Same thing with was it Frank? Was that
Frank was his
partner?
Yeah.
When they show his death scene, he's clearly affected by that. So he is very loyal to his friends, and he is a good dude. He has a very standoffish personality with people.
He's very hard to like.
Yeah. But
we have now gone longer than the runtime of the movie.
Oh, we have. We probably need to split this off into 2 episodes just to make sure. I don't think anyone's going to listen to a Lockout podcast. It's 2.5 hours long.
That's 2. We tried it 2.
We still have more shit to talk about. So I want to run a little bit longer and just split this into 2 episodes because I want to talk about the lawsuit. The lawsuit we have to discuss. Did you have anything else before we talk about extra shit? Did you have anything else about the actual movie itself that you wanted to talk about?
Nope, I'm good.
Okay. The lawsuit is fucking fascinating because if nobody is aware of this...
I read a little bit about it.
If this movie's plot sounds a lot like Escape from New York, well, John Carpenter would agree with you. John Carpenter, the director of Escape from New York, successfully sued everyone involved with this fucking movie and won. The court awarded John Carpenter 20,000 euros in damages. Co-screenwriter Nick Castle got 10,000. MGM, the studio behind Escape from New York, got 50,000. And what's really intriguing is that so the lawsuit happened in 2015. Okay.
1
year later, Luc Besson had an appeal to the lawsuit.
I read this.
After the appeal was rejected, the total damages was increased to 450,000 euros.
My
Holy
God.
shit. That is insane, dude.
My God.
That is absolutely, but yeah, like the plot similarities are pretty baffling. The one of my notes is as the movie opens and they're having the opening credits, when they say original story idea by Luc Besson, I laughed out loud. I was like, Luc Besson, I love you, but fuck off, dude. It's fucking Escape from New York, bro. Come on, man. You got a fucking dude. So the Escape from New York, the basic plot line is the president's plane goes down over New York, which has been turned into a massive prison. They can't go in because the government can't go in because the prisoners have found the president and they say we'll fucking kill him if you make any move to capture him back. They have to send in Snake Plissken as is like disguised as like a prisoner because he's the only one who can get in to save the. And it's like this is the exact same fucking movie. It's just in space and it's the president's daughter instead of the president. And if you just don't make it the fucking president's daughter, I think that really hurt their case. And it also made the movie very cheesy by having the unnecessary president plot line.
You know what's even funnier? It's like, no, but it's in space. They're just as isolated. They're just as isolated in space as they are in Escape from New York and Escape from L.A.
Yeah. Oh, and like, I love Guy Pearce in this movie, but this character is clearly Snake Plissken inspired. Like,
yes,
he's the standoffish asshole who's, an everyday kind of badass who is both good at his job and also just kind of like shit just happens to go right for him in certain situations. And it's, you can totally see why John Carpenter won his lawsuit because it is unabashedly.
It's like if Snake Plissken was a cartoon.
Yeah, it is unabashedly Escape from New York, just much fucking dumber. And yeah, I just found the lawsuit.
But I want to watch those again, so we are eventually covering those.
I would like to talk about Escape from New York. If I was covering Escape from LA, I would just be kind of destroying it because I did not like Escape from LA.
That movie's
Escape from
fucking
LA is
great.
Escape from LA where he's like fucking surfing and it's just
fucking great.
It's so fucking stupid.
Oh my God. Compared to everything else that happens in both movies, that's where you draw the line?
Escape from... Dude, everyone hates Escape from LA, right? Like,
I don't get it. That movie is so good.
It's so stupid.
It's so good.
It completely ruins everything good in the first movie
I'm so
to me.
Sad. I'm so
I would
sad.
totally cover the first movie.
I thought you would be the one person on my side.
No, it's like the second one just reaches like all new levels of fucking.
It's so good.
It's so stupid, but
so good.
Yeah, we had to talk about the lawsuit just because I find the lawsuit more interesting than the movie itself. As much as I do like certain aspects of it, but yeah.
So
did you have anything else as far as
overall? Where do you stand? Like it? You like it more than you hate it?
I'm completely right down the middle. I don't love the movie. I don't absolutely hate the movie. There are a lot of things I genuinely like about it, which make it frustrating because of how many stupid things they have about it that easily could have been fixed by multiple people involved. I have higher standards for Luc Besson. For as much, he wasn't completely involved in the making of this, but he was involved to some degree, and he helped out to it. Like when you have like Luc Besson's name plastered all over the marketing and like all over the opening credits, I have like a higher standard for him just because I love The Professional. I love Taken. Like some of his other stuff that he Fifth Element's really good.
Fifth Element is really good.
How have we not covered Fifth Element for this podcast? Like, fuck, Fifth Element's really good. I will never watch it again, but I am glad I watched it. That's what I'll say.
Okay. Yeah, I didn't know if Guy Pearce and the action itself will be enough for you to like it more than you had script problems. I knew you were going to have script problems. That was obvious.
Yeah, if you had script problems, I was going to have script problems.
If I didn't think you're going to have script problems, then I don't know you at all. So I knew that was going to be an issue, but I didn't know if Guy Pearce and just the one-liners and some of the action that happens, because nothing in this movie... Most everything that happens in this movie is completely believable. It's not like outlandish action scenes, I mean,
there are like the Death Star trench run and the PS2 cutscene are pretty bad, but
yes, but
the stuff on the space station's good.
But the stuff on the space station, the main meat of the movie,
Yeah,
like, he's basically kicking people in the balls and running through the whole movie.
Yeah, when you were revealing that this was going to be the next movie on our Knives Out episode, you had talked about how like the elevator pitch was essentially kind of like Die Hard in space, which that's the part that's cool about the movie. When it's more grounded and when it's more just centered on Guy Pearce's character and having actual like interesting villains, kind of like Hans Gruber. Like I get a lot of Hans Gruber vibes from Alex. There's a lot of like depth there that isn't typically there in this type of kind of like rompish action movie. It's also sci-fi.
We even had the Jeremy Irons Hans Gruber thing too, with them being brothers.
Yeah.
Like that's in there.
Yeah, there's a lot of depth there. I just wish that they had done more pass-throughs on the script and hired more talented directors, because the directors did not do it.
Because they had the cast. The cast was great.
Yeah. The cast completely elevates this movie in a way that they really got lucky on, because like if they didn't have it, just taking Guy Pearce alone out of this movie completely would ruin the movie, because he carries the movie for me.
Which is good, because he's on screen most of the time.
Yeah. They're very fortunate they got him. But yeah, did you have anything else you want to cover about the movie before we sign off?
No, but I was just curious, like, exactly where you stood in getting that on mic, because I was very curious, because I didn't know exactly where you would land. I had an idea, but I didn't know exactly where we were. But it was a movie I've been wanting you to watch for some time, just because, if nothing else, I think it makes for great podcast conversation.
Oh yeah, I've had a blast talking about it.
It's a fascinating movie to break down.
Yeah, like especially like the behind the scenes stuff with the lawsuits, also interesting. At the very least, like you can tell there are stuff to like about this movie, because if there wasn't, I would have absolutely fucking hated this movie just because of some of the stupid plot decisions they have that take me completely out of the movie, where I'm just like, guys, how did you get paid to write this and not realize that the glass between Maggie Grace
solves all of your problems?
Like, there is no movie if your security guard is competent in any way, shape, or form. And like you said, you have an anti-pothole filler of the space station colliding into the prison is a very easy write-in to fix stuff. It's just like all over the place. But yeah, I did have fun with it.
The last thing, my last word on this movie is, if you already have Netflix, it costs you nothing.
Yeah,
you're already paying for Netflix, so I think it's worth a look. And I don't know, I think there's a lot to enjoy, but it's a good Saturday night sit down with a loved one or something, and just watch a dumb movie, eat some popcorn.
Yeah, it's totally. There's a reason why it hit top 10 on Netflix last year. It's like eminently streamable.
It was number 9 at box office its opening weekend. By the way, I don't know what it was up against, but it was number 9.
Yeah, with the movie the way that it is, I'm glad I watched it. I will never watch it again. I will just rewatch Escape from New York. But
and then Escape from LA.
No, you can have that one. I'll stick with the first one. But yeah.
Hey, in the greater Besson verse, is this them doing experiment on the inmates to see if we can do space travel, which eventually leads to the Fifth Element?
Maybe.
I don't know. I want a Besson verse. I want him to figure out a way to link all 50 of his movies together. I
wish Luc Besson had directed this movie, because I think this movie would have been amazing if it had been more like delicately helmed. It's just that they were in over their head, in my opinion. But it's still fun to watch. I recommend people watch it. Yeah. So thank you for listening. This has been our 3-hour epic, doubling the runtime.
We have exceeded the runtime of Lockout.
We have exceeded the runtime by 45 fucking minutes, which is insane. But it was fun to talk about. We will probably have split this off into 2 parts, because I do not want to release a 2-hour and 20-minute fucking episode of Lockout when the movie itself is 95 minutes long.
Well, so to be fair, half of this podcast was tangents.
It's true. We had a lot of random tangents.
We talked about Anthony Hopkins' career for a minute.
A lot of dementia talk. And Memento talk. So a lot of short-term memory loss talk, too. Man, there's a lot of through lines that the actual script itself could have used more of. Yeah, if you would like to check us out more, please check us out on Twitter at SPR Filmcast. You can find Ron laughs every time I talk.
Every time.
SPR Filmcast actually has a ring to it. I kind of like it now. I have come around on SPR Filmcast.
Because you don't have a choice.
Because I don't have a choice.
I just remember getting that text message like, God damn it, fucking Twitter.
God.
You were so angry.
Damn it, Twitter. I was pretty upset, but it's okay. It all worked out in the end. You can get show updates. Our Knives Out tweet was liked by Ryan Johnson himself, which made my entire 2021.
That was great.
I pulled up the notification of liked by Ryan Johnson. I was like, no way. And I clicked on it. I saw the verified check mark. The first thing I did was squeal like a fucking 12-year-old fangirl and then text Ron in all caps, Ryan Johnson liked the tweet. Ryan Johnson liked the tweet. Made my year, dude.
If we could just get another like maybe 50,000 listeners, we could have him on the podcast.
Ooh. I wouldn't be able to interview Ryan Johnson because I'd just be like geeking out like, Ryan, did I ever tell you I love you? Oh, dude. But yeah, if you have any questions that you would like me and Ron to break down for the show, go ahead and shoot us an email. It can be about any movie that maybe you'd like us to cover in the future, one we have covered that you'd like us to talk about your inquiries specifically. You can email us. It's screenplayrewind@gmail.com. Ron, when you're not podcasting with me about Escape from New York ripoffs, where can you be found on the interwebs?
And what a ripoff it was. You can find me every Sunday, Monday, and Tuesday, 9:30 Central Time, 9:30 p.m. Central Time, on Twitch, streaming video games. I think by the time this comes out, I'll probably be on Uncharted 3. I've been playing through the series.
Nice.
And then, at least I hope. They're so short, the games are. I've got a YouTube channel and a Twitter, and that is all Ronsense TV.
Yep. He has a very kind community of actual, non-toxic commenters, which is very refreshing for, modern era. I actually enjoy popping by the stream and talking to, your regulars that are super, super awesome people.
Well, thank you, sir.
You can find me on Twitter. GMillerSPR is my handle. I think it's gonna be a wrap for our Lockout epic. This has been a lot of fun to talk about. I'm glad that you had picked it, and we had already talked
the
about
the odyssey that was Lockout.
We'd already revealed with our scheduling change with Knives Out what next movie is going to be. It is going to be our coverage of Jojo Rabbit, and then after,
which is still on HBO.
Yes. So be sure to check that out. And we will be, after JoJo, our episode for Jojo Rabbit airs, we are going to be having a very special Friends and Family pick month, where our friends and family, people such as Ron's wife, Chris, our buddy Bobby, Phoenix Waddell, one of the awesome regulars over in Ron's stream, and my buddy Lazy Ghost 03. He's going to be picking a movie too. We'll be revealing those picks for that month later on. We expect those to be a little bit different type of episode. What they'll probably be like, since we're going to be ramping up our schedule to do 4 episodes in a month, we're going to probably try to make them more like the Wonder Woman 1984 episode, where it's going to be more just kind of like an hour of our general takes on it instead of the very nitty-gritty 3-hour epic like this Lockout episode. Yeah. So just keep that in mind. But yeah, I think it'll be a lot of fun. Because me and Ron have been talking about how, Ron was kind of like trying to get some picks in for the show that aren't just, unadulterated Ron and Geoff like we have picked thus far, with stuff like Lockout and Southbound. So we're going to have a lot of different stuff covered for that month, and I'm super excited to have movies kind of selected for us.
And I got to say, your reaction to my reaction to Lazy's pick was great.
Oh, that's going to be a doozy, bro. I am both dreading and looking forward to that episode like no other, dude. So yeah, check us out later on to figure out what that pick's going to be. Good God. Holy shit balls. I'm not prepared.
I own it.
And this has been the final episode of Screenplay Rewind. I appreciate you listening. Disregard all of the future programming news because this show is now dead in the water. Have a good night.
I sent Geoff a picture of it from my movie shelf, and he was just like, what?
I'm not mad, Ron. I'm mad and disappointed. That is all I will say. You folks have a good night, and this has been Screenplay Rewind.